You want to know how I got involved in bread. My synagogue, Congregation Tifereth Israel, had formed a social action committee a year earlier. And one evening at the meeting, Cantor Chomsky came and said, there's a new interfaith organization working on social justice, and we need 5 representatives to go. And I said, interfaith social justice, that sounds really cool. I'm interested, but I'm really too busy. I will go as a placeholder, and we'll find somebody else for more involvement, ongoing involvement. So I went to the first covenanting assembly of bread, and I was hooked. And that's the end of the story. I've been involved ever since. So why I was brought up in a household where being a Jew means that you fix the world. That's just what we do. My mom took me on demonstrations when I was a kid. She did civil rights, fair housing work. I went off to college looking for the movement against the war in Vietnam and did find it, I will add. And so I've been involved in a wide variety of social justice issues my whole life. As an adult, I got more involved in synagogue life when I came to Columbus and we joined Tifereth Israel. I got much more involved in a community of faith, and my faith is very important to me. Being a Jew is very important to me, and to me, being a Jew is about repairing the world. So being able to put together faith and justice is very appealing to me. But there are other faith and justice organizations around. What got to me about bread was a number of things. First and foremost, bread is amazingly effective. It has a method. We have a process, and the process works. And sometimes I get frustrated because it's so rigid, but the process works. We really ask people in our very diverse congregations what problems keep them up at night, and then we all vote democratically on a problem, and then we go out and research it. And the research process was one of the things that first attracted me, because I joined the jobs committee, and they had decided to focus on transportation from poor inner cities to better paying jobs on the outer belt by trying to improve public transportation. And the leaders of the jobs committee knew more about Central Ohio Transportation Authority than I thought they all worked there. So we're very thorough about researching problems, figuring out solutions that have worked elsewhere, and then we use power to hold public officials accountable. Now, I've been in a lot of social justice efforts where we write letters and we do visits and we bring all the information, and we don't win. The way we win is by building power, and we get our power through organized people. And it's been working for 21 years, so that's 2 of the reasons why I'm involved in bread. And another reason is that, I find when I go to any bread event, I'm hugging people a lot, and that's because bread really puts a value on developing personal relationships. And I feel loved in the organization, and I love a lot of other people. I've made, deep friendships through the bread organization. We come together because we all have a passion for justice, and we get to know each other. We get to know, what drives us. what we care about. I've learned a huge amount about a lot of how other people live through bread. Okay, I'm done.
So what about your involvement in bread is so important to you?
What is so important?
Yeah, I guess like talked about all this stuff, and I guess why have you continued to stay in bread?
I've continued to stay in. Well, first of all, I had a very, I had a job which took a lot of hours. I was start all over again. Until a year and a half ago, I was the executive director of a very small nonprofit organization that advocated for health care for consumers. And I worked many hours at that. And now that I'm retired, I have more time. So I'm able to put more, I could do whatever I wanted. I'm putting a lot of time into bread. Why? Because, as I said, I mean, bread gets things done. We have, we have an effective, evidence-based method for figuring out practical solutions that we can implement in our city to make our city work better. I mean, look at what we've accomplished. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund, 2 evidence-based mental health programs. I mean, you just go down the line. We've accomplished a huge amount. And as another way of looking at it is for each $1 I invest in bread, we get $53 in return in leveraging public funds. And that's huge. But we are able to accomplish things, implementation of programs that make differences in people's lives. There's no way that we can keep just feeding individuals and rescuing individuals from social problems. We have to change the source of the problems. And that means holding public officials accountable to work with other elements of society to implement programs that work.
What was your first Nehemiah action like?
It's funny. It was at, oh golly, I'm going to need some time to. So my first Nehemiah action was the very first Nehemiah action, and there were over 1,000 people there. And that looked like a lot of people then, because I hadn't been to a Nehemiah with over 3,000 people yet. And it was pretty impressive. What I remember the most was that the mayor didn't show up, and we let the mayor know that we weren't happy that he didn't show up. And I really liked that a lot, that a public official can't just disrespect over 1,000 voters, residents of his city, like that, because we don't have large amounts of money. We hold public officials accountable to be accountable to the people of this city. And we treat public officials with respect, and in turn we expect to be treated with respect. But we make up for our lack of influence through money by building people power. So that was my first Nehemiah. That was a very long time ago, and it's hard to remember New Salem Baptist Church. That's where it was.
What was the most exciting part about this year's Nehemiah action?
Golly. Aside from me I love speaking at a Nehemiah action. It's just, the audience is with you, and it just feels really cool. So that was pretty exciting. But having a wide range of public officials showing up and making commitments to us felt great, because there have been years where public officials didn't show up, and that could be frustrating, even though we know eventually we're going to win. We always do. But it felt really good. It felt really gratifying that we've achieved a level of maturity in Bread, that we do garner respect from public officials, and they do show up to work with us. I mean, we've done our homework. We know what we're talking about. We bring in experts from, when need be, from other places. We take them to see programs that are working in other cities. So, and we treat them with respect, and so we're getting respect in return. So that was very exciting. The other part that was exciting was that we had 2,500 people there, and last year our turnout was lower, and it was disappointing, and now we're back on a trajectory to grow bigger. We have got to grow bigger to be able to achieve bigger things.